Please just confirm once more. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Okay, right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Munka Okili Amadou, and I'm here as a speaker for the Find Ghana Forensic Webinar 2026. We are going to look at forensic photography, bridging science, art, and justice. I don't know why the moderator and then event organizer decided to give me this topic area. It would have been easier if they said I should come and discuss only forensic photography as a course model or a field within forensic science. That would have been way easier to do. Or maybe I should just come and talk about how forensic science could be used in general to combat illegal mining. But they wanted me to come and speak specifically on how to use forensic photography to combat illegal mining. So putting up this whole topic was quite a bit of a challenge for me. Then I hope that all the materials I've kept together, you will find it insightful and then useful um, for what's the name? You'll find it insightful in general. So before I start, this is just a brief or a little background about myself and also experience. My background of study is within the field of interdisciplinary forensic science, which means that I've studied all the areas of forensic science, almost all the areas. But I have my master's specialization within the area of fingerprints and question document examination. And in terms of work, I am the operations manager for corporate investigations at Primary Due Diligence Consult. I'm also the director and founder of the Forensic Post, a non-profit organization that is, how will I call it, working. Okay, all right. Is this fine? I think the host requested that I should show my face, so I hope I'm quite visible and okay. Okay. Okay, someone picture else is taking over. Let me just put off my wasn't my account so that yeah, right. Also the director and founder of Forensic Post, which is basically is meant to support forensic science communications, or is meant to promote forensic science within Ghana and beyond in developing regions, just like Find Ghana is doing. So I'm really excited to be on this webinar to do the thing that I love, that is promoting forensic science within developing regions, especially Ghana. My slide is no more moving. I don't know. Okay. All right. So just a bit of a disclaimer. What I'll be sharing here just for informational purpose. The content is for informational purpose. It's not a professional advice. The opinions that I've been sharing are my personal opinions. They are not that of my affiliation. So they are my personal affiliation. And in case any equipment or any gadget is being mentioned here, those are just for like illustration purpose. It's not an endorsement for any material or equipment. And also myself and my affiliation are not liable for any loss of damage. If you use any information here, it's use it at your own discretion, your own personal discretion. And more importantly, there's going to be some kind of AI generated content to introduce abstract ideas and to aid understanding, because I couldn't get any form of what is it, any available content to show that is original. So I had to rely on AI to give us something that would just aid or facilitate understanding of the entire concept. And then more importantly, the session is going to be recorded. So be mindful of whatever information that you share or whatever speech or whatever talk that you want. If you don't want something to be available online for a long period of time, that'll be accessible by anybody, then this is not the right webinar for you to say certain things. So be mindful of whatever information or any interaction that you bring out, because the session is going to be recorded. So let's note that as well. Some of the key areas I will be tackling include the impact of illegal mining, um, the role of forensic photography, types of photography, image intelligence, artificial intelligence, using photography to narrate a crime scene in terms of the environment, some lessons and recommendations, and then conclusion. So these are just some key aspects that we'll be looking at among the many. So illegal mining, when we say illegal mining, I want us to understand that illegal mining is not only an environmental problem, it's not an environmental problem, it's also an investigative problem. If we cannot properly document it, we cannot effectively prosecute it. That is one key thing I would like us to know. And then we've all been hearing of galamsey, and then I know most of us in this webinar, especially Ghanaians who are joining, would probably know how the word galamsey was being coined, but for understanding of for those who may not be within the Ghanaian context, the term galamsey itself is derived from the English phrase that is gather them and sell, highlighting the artisanal, low tech, and immediate nature of the trade. So galamsey, it just coined from the word gather them and sell. Um, And then when we look at minerals, a lot of minerals can be extracted illegally. It's not only gold. Normally, when we say illegal mining, or we say galamsey, our mind goes to gold mining, gold, small scale gold mining, small scale galamsey, and all those stuff. But it's not only gold that can be extracted illegally. We have so many minerals. We have the precious mineral, which gold happens to be one of them, the bauxite, the gold, the diamond, etc. We have something we call industrial minerals, that is the clay, limestone, kaolin, salt, etc., and the rest. Crude oil and gas are kept under energy and energy resources. Then we have something like lithium. We've all heard about that. Ghana having lithium, and then there's going to be lithium mining within Ghana here. So those are more of like technology, minerals, tech stuffs. Then we have something we call the base metals, the iron, the copper, and then the rest of them. But right now, if you can see, if you talk about illegal mining, mostly our mind goes to gold, and there's a reason for that. So before I proceed, I would like to just know from the audience, why is it that it is gold apart from among the many minerals that we have in Ghana here in the categories, why is it that it's gold that is the common one that is being mined illegally? That is what is giving us headache in terms of galamsey within context here. Most of the illegal mining within Ghanaian context is gold. Why is that the case? So I'm putting this to our event moderator. We have it. Why do you think? It's okay, just give your idea or your mind. It doesn't have to be right or perfect. Why is it gold that is mined illegally the most within
So,
Ghana? Yeah,
so per my point of view, I feel like that is what is mostly popular to the local markets as
popular.
compared to the other one. It has the market already. People are already interested in it. It's already proven itself in the market for people to invest their money in.
Great.
That's
Thank
all what I think.
Right. So his point is just on point. Let me see. I don't know if I'm rhyming here. You see, the way gold is, unlike the other minerals, gold you can find it within the surface. It is easy to find gold within surface mining, as compared to others. Some of them you may have to dig deeper. And like he said, apart from that too, apart from getting the mineral to the processing, it's easier to process gold as compared to lithium and then the rest. So in terms of the black market, the gold black market is well already established, unlike crude oil or lithium and the rest. So because of that, it's easier to mine gold illegally. Just a minute here. Let me resolve this issue. Okay, I'm sorry. So that your point was great. Now, illegal mining has a lot of causes or a lot of effects. That is why we are here to discuss it as a national issue. It's now become a national security issue, and then people are pushing for it to um, for the state to what's the name? Put something we call state of emergency to tackle the issue of illegal mining. And it's because of how the damages it causes, like water pollution, land degradation, deforestation, threats to agriculture, and then the economic loss. So the effects of illegal mining is so huge, it's so big that we are not those who are only going to pay the consequences of it. Even future generations are going to suffer the consequences of illegal mining if we don't tackle it. So it's a serious issue that needs to be tackled. And then every method, every technique that can be used to tackle illegal mining, be it forensic photography, forensic chemistry, forensic, but anything that can be used on needs to be brought on board collectively to tackle the issue of illegal mining. So I want us to know that illegal mining itself is a crime scene spread across landscapes. So let's just know this one. It's a crime scene spread across a wide landscape. And then you can see here, we've all been seeing the pictures of illegal mining. Some of us, due to our work, we found ourselves in one or two galamsey sites or illegal mining site, and then it's very, very bad. What we see in the media, it's way more worse than that. That is just the surface. If you go to places like those areas like the Inzama area, the Wasa area, and then you see the illegal mine, how it's affecting the area, you feel very, very bad. The water itself tastes different. The atmosphere even looks different. It feels very different when you find yourself in those environments. And then the future generations are going to pay for the cost of this illegal mining. So when we look at the impacts of I know I've not really gone before I go into the photography aspect. I would just like us to just have a recap of these areas, which I believe most of us might have an idea of it already. And then some of us too may also be exposing ourselves to new ideas as well. So the impacts cuts across so many sectors. One is the environmental sector, which we talked about briefly. There's deforestation and deforestation in terms of our forest reserve and then our natural forest. Then we can look at in terms of the river turbidity, like we wash drain the water through galamsey, it goes into the water. Can have so apart from contaminating it in terms of its physical properties, there's going to be chemical contamination. That is these heavy metals and then the rest. Even biological contamination is still possible because of illegal mining. Now, if you look at it too, it leads to social wars, and in terms of the social aspect, there's loss of livelihood. People who were normal routine cocoa workers, cocoa go to support cocoa farmers work, they've now been pushed out because people are now selling their cocoa farms, for example, for illegal mining. So there's no need for them. And then once this cocoa is being gone, there's somebody who works as a cocoa processor. If cocoa farms are no more there, the person will also lose his jobs, and then the cycle just continues that way up to the last person. So there's loss of livelihood, and there's also community conflicts. One key important thing, if you look in the news, a lot of the times, many times, you can find that these anti-galamsey tax forces are fighting with the illegal miners. It has now become more of like a cartel business. There's gunshots, fire, burning of issues, and all. Even the community people are even fighting. Those who are in support of galamsey for livelihood and those who are against the galamsey as a means of livelihood. So we can have community conflicts. There is one issue that I've forgotten the name of the area. Even an assemblyman was even killed because of these galamsey issues and then rioting. So it's becoming a serious national security issue. And then one key aspect we also look is in terms of the health, like food contamination. You look at the mercury exposure and poison. The mercury that's been in the news for as long as for years now. Mercury poisoning, mercury contamination here and there, and it's a serious issue, leading to a lot of health complications, including kidney failures and then the rest. So we need to take the impact of galamsey seriously. The last is the national security issue. It has now become like an organized criminal network. I know I've mentioned this already. Now galamsey is now become like a cartel business. This is how cartel business like trafficking of opium, fentanyl, and the cocaine and the rest began. It's if you look at the Mexico and all those other like Colombia and the rest. Now the issue of galamsey has now become like a cartel business. They have resources, they have the money, they have the funding, they have people in politics, they have people in power. They even have their own let's say gadget, let's say armed gadget, like the wasn't the weapons and then the rest to even fight anti-galamsey task force and people who even try to. So if you are going to a galamsey and you don't take time and then you want to go and investigate anyhow, you may not come back alive. They'll just bury you in just a galamsey pit. Nobody will find you again. People can they can just wasn't it. So investigating issues of like galamsey is a very serious issue. If you don't take time, they'll just kill you and then deposit your body within the galamsey pool, and then nobody will ever find you again. So that is one thing I'm even going to highlight in this presentation. You don't tackle galamsey or the issue of galamsey investigation like you do in a normal investigation. Maybe going to investigate like maybe a water pollution in a normal environment, or maybe going to investigate something like a homicide or maybe money laundering. This is a very serious thing in terms of investigations. So why illegal mining must be tackled? Like we rightly said, if we know the issues or the impact, then we would know the reason why we have to tackle the issue of illegal mining. We have to protect our water bodies. We have to safeguard agriculture. Our cocoa. Cocoa is one of the key rules that Ghana pride ourselves, like one of the leading producers of cocoa. Now galamsey is affecting cocoa and then the rest. Apart from that, the mineral, the chemicals that we use, the mercury and the rest, it contaminates our lands. It passes through river body. Irrigation now becomes difficult. And if we don't take time, we might face food insecurity in the nearby future. We also have to protect the community health. We've seen the issue of these kidney issues, reports from medical centers like the Columbia Hospital and the rest, finding a lot of heavy metals within our cassava and the rest, which are within the galamsey areas. It's going to be a lot of issue. Now it's now becoming very difficult to treat our water and then use our water more and more. What's the cost of production? So there's going to be increase in water tariffs and then the rest. So we need to really tackle this issue. Now, apart from that, we also have to strengthen the rule of law. If you allow galamsey to be going anyhow, like I said, there are so many minerals that are being used. What if people are able to establish a very vast network of crude oil sales? So it means it can now wasn't kind of proliferate from gold wasn't an illegal mining to maybe to crude oil. You find that people will now start digging, looking for places, trying to look for. I'm just giving like in a wild case scenario, looking for crude oil. People are also trying to start digging, looking for lithium. They will establish a lithium market, looking for lithium. By the time you realize, the whole Ghana becomes a crime scene, because people will now be digging in everywhere, looking for every mineral that they can get. So to strengthen the rule of law and preserve future generation, we have to take the issue of illegal mining or galamsey seriously, tackle it there, and then make sure that whoever involves in galamsey knows that the law would come for you if you involve in galamsey, because people will try to involve themselves in criminal activities if they know they can get away with it. But if you're able to get all these people and then hold them to account, then there's the possibility of illegal mining will be minimized or reduced, and we can now have a safer future of Ghana. So fighting illegal mining is not only an environmental responsibility. It's not only an environmental responsibility. I would like to reiterate that again. It is also a justice and governance responsibility. You have to look at it from the justice lens and then the governance lens. So it's more of like a big responsibility, big shared responsibility. So let's look at the role of forensic investigation. Before I even talk about the forensic photography aspect, I would like to look at forensic investigation in general, so that we can narrow it down a little as we go. So forensic investigation, you know, forensic science is basically the application of scientific knowledge and findings to legal cases, or simply people say forensic science is applying science to law. So wherever there is law, there's going to be litigation, and then you apply science to it, and it becomes forensic science. And then we prefer forensic science because of objectivity. Forensic science gives us objectivity as compared to any other forms of investigative methods. So we are going to have something like environmental crimes investigation through forensic science. You can improve, and it's going to be methodological and then very objective to the point. It's going to be evidence-based documentation. It's not going to be hearsay. It's going to be concrete circumstantial evidences pieced together to form a very strong evidential backing. So if you are prosecuting somebody, or like a high stakeholder or a key person or an important figure, you don't go and then you have to get witnesses, and witnesses will be running away because the person is an important personality. You go with the evidences and let the evidences speak for itself. You don't need somebody to come and testify. And also, more importantly, to help in crime scene reconstruction, you need forensic science to help in reconstruction. Reconstruction is an important aspect of forensic science, because with reconstruction, you're able to make your case better, or to present your case better within the court of law. So that leads us to our last point. We need forensic science so that we can have like a courtroom support. They want to explain our ideas, the abstract ideas, in the concrete, so that the jury, the judge, prosecutions, and any other person who is there will understand that what we are presenting is not based on mere facts. Like you are really proving a case beyond reasonable doubt. And then the person that you are saying is innocent or guilty is indeed what you say that he or she is. All right. So just pausing a minute. Please, I hope I'm not too fast, moderator, because I know you're giving me a limited time. I was preparing for an hour and 30 minutes, but I'm told I have to use half of that. So I'm just trying to speed up a little. I hope I'm not too fast. Mr. Moderator. Okay. Cisse, are you there? Hello.
You are not fast.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
It seems our moderator is asleep. All right. So a poorly documented crime scene is a lost opportunity for justice. Let's note that why we need forensic photography. We need to really document it very well, so that we can be able to pursue justice in the right, in appropriate manner. So now we are getting to we've let's say ripped off the meat. Now we are going to tackle the main skeleton, or the key main aspect of the whole thing, after ripping off the flesh. So forensic photography, we all know forensic photography, or people from the forensic science background, or from law enforcement or justice background, would understand that forensic photography is basically scientific documentations of scene. When we document the scene or an environment, or a crime scene, an event, um, for investigative or legal purposes. So people will just say basically it's applying the principles, the art and science of photography for legal purposes, or to resolve a legal issue. That is what we mean by forensic photography. And the purpose is very simple. Why do we need forensic photography, or why do we even need forensic photography in terms of litigations or a legal issue or matter? Is to preserve evidence visually. There are other ways of preserving evidence, that is the sketch and then the other ways, but photography is more of an ideal method. It is easier, it is cheaper, it is faster in terms of documenting, and then it's people are able to relate more or see things better from a photograph as compared to using a sketch. That is why we prefer to use forensic photography in terms of crime scene processing. So it records the crime scene objectively. It is not biased. Your sketch and other things might suffer from one or two things because you may have to leave certain things out. But photography will try to capture everything comprehensively and objectively. And then more importantly, if you have a very objective forensic photographs, you can use it to support a court testimony or any form of evidence. So forensic photography can support. You said that, okay, I've seen your excavator there. You were like, okay, where's your evidence? Then you bring your picture or you bring your photograph showing the excavator there with the excavator registration number. Your excavator was used for galamsey. That is the importance of forensic photography. And also, when we talk about forensic photography, I would just like to train our minds to understand these things. Like when we talk about photography, it's not just about still images. Like it encompasses a whole, what's the name? It's a very big, what's the name, family or domain. All these things are within photography. Still images or pictures, as you think immediately, is part of photography or forensic photography. Motion pictures or videos. What are videos? Videos are basically a lot of pictures or frames that are moving quickly or very fast. Motion pictures. So they are also it's a form of photography in a broader sense, like 3D models and rendering, like the 3D models that we see, 3D forensic networks. All these things are forms of photography, like because we are working with images, still images that you what's the name, process them in different or various forms to show something, to show something, and even animations. Sometimes animations are very useful in terms of reconstruction and reenactment. You go in and you think that, okay, you want to show how somebody is doing galamsey or somebody is destroying an environment, you will need to use some form of animation, pictures and things to show this is how the person is moving, this is how the person is digging from this place, and then the person is transferring the water from this water body, then this water body is moving, so you show the connection through animation, and this is how we are suffering from the impact of the galamsey. So you can reconstruct everything very nicely, and then you can even show whether they are using excavators or they're just using normal hoes and cutlasses to dig through the animation and then through the damage that you'll be finding from the scene. Um, so it helps was in the overall presentation of your case. So I wouldn't be able to talk about forensic photography and escape the idea of computational photography. There's something we call computational photography. I know a lot of us might be hearing this for the first time, but we've all used computational photography before. If you have a smartphone, most of the smartphones that we have, they have the lens that we have there. They are not like manual lens that you can manipulate to get good images, as compared to using a digital full was the name digital camera, like full frame camera. So for that, there has to be some kind of computational what's the name, enhancement. Almost all our smartphones now, that is what people are competing like, oh, your iPhone camera is very nice, I like the iPhone camera, I like the Samsung camera, I like this camera, I like this camera. It's because of something we call computational photography. It is being used to enhance. Most of us use it in terms of the portrait blur, or something in photography called bokeh, the HDR, HDR render. Oh, I like it in HDR, I like it in HD. Give me in an HD mode because I want to preserve the quality. And also, more importantly, in night mode. And then we know the night mode is even more important. If you are going to tackle issue of galamsey, I know most of the galamsey operators, they work at night. They are night operators. So if you are going there to do your surveillance or your check, you can't go with a normal phone camera to take. You need a camera that can give you a very good visual image in the night, in night mode. So computational photography plays a key important role. If you want to use forensic photography to tackle the issue of galamsey, we need to ensure that the tools or the materials we are using have a very good computations to give us good visuals in the night, among many. So that's just a little about computational photography. And also, if you're looking at photography to combat crime or to combat illegal mining, to be specific, there are two approaches or there are two methods. That is one, the passive, I would like to say in quotes. Passive mean like reactive. For example, there's a case in court. Maybe you're accusing somebody of partaking in illegal mining. The person is like, well, I'm not doing illegal mining. The case is already at court and you're tackling. And you have to go to the scene to go in and take pictures of the scene. document maybe what you find, maybe some mercury bottles, some excavator marks, and all those things. Taking these photographs to tell a story to show whether the person excavator or the person himself has been there, from footprints and then a whole lot of things. That is one approach. That is the passive or reactive form. The incident had happened, and then you want to use photographs to show. That one normally is quite easier to work with. But I would have liked to talk deeply about both the reactive approach and also the proactive approach. But because of time, I'm going to focus more on the active. That is the proactive approach, the second method, the active. So here we're not looking about the incident happening already. We are looking at here, we're going to monitor the incident as it is ongoing. So this is more proactive. So we want to monitor the situation while it is ongoing, and then to even prevent it from even happening at the first place before it can go to the court of law. So you're looking at the proactive measure in terms of combating illegal mining using photography. That is what most of my session from now on is going to focus on due to time factor. But if you finish in this time, we can discuss more on the passive or the reactive methods as well if you are interested. So types of forensic photographs that can be taken, or types of photograph in general. We have something we call the overview. The overview means that you are watching an area from a very large landscape. You are watching it from a very far, the entire general area. You can also observe it from something we call the mid-range photograph. That is, you look at it like you just look at it from a medium point, a moderate perspective, whereby you have about 2 or 3 evidences showing relationship or showing connection. You can also observe it from a close-up view or close-up photographs view. That place you highlight only one evidence, or you pay attention to one particular thing. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures of galamsey areas that are going to give us the overview, the mid-range or close-up, but it's just like a normal crime scene. How forensic photographs are taken. We can have the long range, whereby you capture the entire area. The medium range, you get a bit more closer to capture some 2 or 3 evidences together. In the close-up view, you focus on like one particular evidence or detail. And even there's something we call an extreme close-up, whereby you focus on the detail on a particular object. So the close-up, for example, you can focus on a bullet. And then the extreme close-up, you can focus on a fingerprint on the bullets, or maybe the bullet case itself. These are the forms of forensic photographs that we take. I would have liked to talk about all these things, but for time factor and time sake, I'm going to focus on the overview because that is what is more important here. Since you are going to be looking at the proactive, and the proactive means you are going to be monitoring the galamsey or monitoring illegal mining from afar. So we are going to be monitoring from like an overview method, not really getting close up or getting to a mid range. So most of the recommendations or most of the techniques we'll be watching are going to be from overview photography. So please let's take note of that as well. Like I said, if I'm moving very fast for you because of time factor, just draw my attention or note down your questions or your queries, then we can discuss them at the end. I'd have liked to make the whole thing interactive, but if I try to make it interactive, there's going to be a lot of issues with timing. And I know the moderators will not allow me to do that. So sorry for the speed up or rushing you through things. There's something we call image intelligence or imagery intelligence, IMIT. I know yesterday those who joined the session had about something we call OSINT, open source intelligence, or social media intelligence. Intelligence is a very broad field. There's so many forms of intelligence. We have like communication intelligence, electronic intelligence, and then there are so many of them. The same way we have something we call imagery intelligence, that is the IMIT. We want to use image intelligence to help combat the issue of galamsey. As you can see here, this is an overview of galamsey area which is being taken. You can see how the water bodies are being being destroyed, how so many pits are being created up and down, showing the interaction or the relationship between them. This is an aerial overview, most likely going to be captured from either a drone or somebody standing from a high ground area. So the ground photography that I mostly you use ground photography if you find yourself in the field, and then mostly you need ground photography if maybe you are coming from a reactive approach. But if you want to monitor galamsey and combat it proactively, most likely in this particular presentation, we'll be focusing on how we can use using drone imagery, and then how we can use satellite imagery, watching and monitoring things from above, and then making our case to combat the issue of galamsey, and also to make identify or track people for this particular presentation. Though sometimes after the whole thing is being gotten, after you've gotten all your information and you have a suspect, you may have to go onto the ground floor to take ground photography. The reason why sometimes in terms of combating the issue of galamsey, you may have to be very discreet. Like I said, these guys are very well armed. It's like a cartel business. Just imagine two or three of you finding yourself here. If they put you in these holes that you have found, they are very, very deep. Some of them are beyond 10 feet. I've seen a Galamsey site whereby a whole excavator, due to some was name, some one or two issue, was nearly was name, buried within these water fields. Like it got sunk. Just imagine how tall an excavator is. It mistakenly fall in one of the pit and it nearly got completely covered or sunk. Just imagine you that you are somewhere 5 feet or 5.5 feet. They can put two of you in one of these holes and then nobody will even find you and then you are gone. And how long? How are you going to search this area to find somebody? What type of search method are you going to use? People might just give up on you and then you just be there. So you don't just go and tackle say um, crime or issue like you tackle any form of issue. You need to be very, very covert. You need to be very, very tactical in terms of how you approach things. And then you don't just go there with a full force team, like a team that is very ready to defend and fight in case we have to be. There's going to be some exchange between you and then the illegal miners as well. So we look at drone imagery, satellite imagery, like I said. So moving on to the next slide. So there are some kind of modern mapping techniques or investigators that I would also like to bring. Some of them is quite related to the previous slide. We have something we call drone mapping and geo tagging. So the drone mapping, like I said, they are going to be having like drones moving around within the Galamsey area or Galamsey field, which I think in some way I've heard that Ghana started incorporating this form of technology, using drone to monitor our areas, our reserves, to see if Galamsey activity is going on. So more importantly, so the drone mapping is quite easy and self-explanatory. The geotagging simply means what's the name? Embedding or ensuring that the images that we take or the videos that we take from the drone have what's the name? GPS. What's the name? They have GPS system which picks the location, it picks the coordinate, the longitudes and the latitudes. Most of us, the iPhones that we use, or maybe the smartphones that we use in general, it geotags images automatically. If you take a picture, it will geotag what's the name, the location of the image on the picture. It will embed it there inside the metadata. So once I have that picture in the raw format, like an edited format, or something, the one that has not been shared through WhatsApp or any social media form, then I can be able to extract the coordinates and then know where this particular picture was being taken. So with the drone imagery, you can be doing your own surveillance in the sky, not take your pictures, take your videos, and then you can be transferring those feeds live to maybe a control room, like a monitoring room, and then people can be picking the coordinates there. And then once they see a Galamsey area, they can dispatch a task force quickly to go and tackle the issue of Galamsey before it becomes a serious issue. Geospatial information system, the GIS system, you can see that is also quite under here. Now we are just going to be more on free side. It can come from two forms. You just note the areas whereby you think there are mineral deposits of a particular kind, maybe gold. So and then you identify the hotspots through geospatial information. You know that this particular area there's a lot of gold within the soil, surface gold. So once there is surface gold over there, there's a high temptation that people are going to be going to those areas to look for gold. So once you have that information, you can now you can now send more resources or more forces there to tackle that issue. So you don't waste your time sending people to areas that there is less likelihood that there's going to be the resource there. And apart from that, you can also be monitoring hotspot. Maybe you can get information of where there's high risks or where there's already a high exploitation of illegal mining or gold excavation. So you can know how to tackle it. If you have this kind of spatial information system. Then the other one, like mentioned earlier on, is also the satellite monitoring. So this one, you're going to be monitoring it in terms of time lapse. You're monitoring like maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day to observe for changes. If you observe that in day 3, the space or the the geography of the land or the area is quite different from day 7, you are noticing some kind of changes within the landscape and things, then you can send task force or the right people to go in and check, or you can investigate further to stop the issue of and to start to tackle a Galamsey issue, assuming it was about to begin or start before it becomes a serious menace within the area. Okay, so this is one key thing I'm going to talk about, the key utilization about this whole idea of forensic photography to combat illegal mining or Galamsey. That is a photography. One key thing we all know is reconnaissance. So reconnaissance here, mostly, even though we can observe from satellite imagery, because the satellite images are quite far in Ghana here, we don't really have that much control about satellites. We are not really world resource in terms of using satellite technology, I think, as compared to other developed countries. But at least when it comes to drones and things, we have a lot of good experts around. So we can use drones for reconnaissance, whereby we just go in and survey the area. We go and observe the area to be checking to be seen whether there's an issue of calamity ongoing or not, like stated below in terms of the drone mapping and the others. Another one that is I would like to bring, which I find it to be more wasn't important, is the tracking and surveillance. For example, you suspect that somebody or an equipment is encroaching into a forest reserve or is mining at a particular place without license. The person is not supposed to go and mine there illegally. The person is mining, let's say, maybe in community A. Community A has been given to them as a concession site. It's legal. They are mining there. But community B is nearby. It's not supposed to be mined community B. But the person normally moves to community B to go and mine illegally at some rough time when people are not watching, or maybe when there is low monitoring. The person will go and move the equipment from community A to go and mine in community B. So, and then you make a case, maybe somebody makes an allegation, and then the case is brought before court. The person be like, oh, I don't mine in community B. All I mine is in community A, and then I don't have nothing to do with community B. All the accusations are false. So we can do something like a corporate tracking and surveillance. For example, you can monitor the equipment. You can just go in and be watching the person. Maybe you can just set like maybe 1 week to monitor the person. Monitor the person activities within community B from the skies, from through drone. If the person is moving from community A to community B, you can be tracking the person and see the person move. It's going to be in stages. So you are gathering evidence from the skies without the person knowledge. See the person go and do it in community B. Get the you note the excavator there. You note what's the name. You also note the persons there. Sometimes you can even track or even monitor the person to even maybe their place of work or even home. For example, maybe the excavator after every work will need to be returned back to the factory. So you can even track the excavator movement from the illegal mining site even to the person's place of was and keeping the excavator. Or you can even track the person. Maybe the person will come and park the vehicle some few meters away and then walk to the Galamsey site to meet the local guys to do the Galamsey. You can even track the person and then all those things. So even it's going to be a bit more wasn't quite expensive, but in the end it will be worth it. Assuming you're able to gather all this information, you spend like just 1 month to track somebody movement from an illegal mining site to their home, to their place of work. You have the person vehicle number, you have the car. This is a very serious evidence. You don't even need to go in and talk. You just have to present it and then you let the evidence speak for itself. So this is a key utilization of forensic photography in terms of combating galamsey. We just have to do covert tracking, covert surveillance of equipment and persons, and then in many cases to help us really to prosecute the people that are contaminating or people that are destroying our land and also our environment as a whole. All right. So I cannot talk about this whole thing and end without bringing the idea of artificial intelligence. Definitely, AI has to come. AI is improving in every area, every aspect, from medicine to anything that you can think about, even studies, normal academia and things. So we cannot conclude on this without looking at how AI can be used or to help forensic photography or to be used as part of a forensic photography technique to combat the issue of galamsey. It's not the session will be incomplete without discussing that. So this is how we can use artificial intelligence, because we know AI is very good at analyzing a lot of information, pretty a lot of information. So we can just incorporate AI to our satellite technology, where I can analyze a lot of images over a wide area to note land changes. If you note some kind of land changes, it can now start detecting pattern. It can now start recognizing pattern of mining and expansion. The person is mining from a normal what's the name, agreed concession site or illegal concession site, and the person is now encroaching into a forest reserve or an area that the person is not supposed to mine. So the AI cannot note all these patterns and then help us combat the issue of galamsey. Also, AI can also give us some form of like predictive mapping of high risk areas. Just incorporate the area to your drone imagery or your drone mapping or to your satellite imagery and then watching things from the skies from the overview. It can help you predict that these areas are more of risks based on this pattern, that if an area becomes this and then within this season people tend to go there to look more for galamsey or to perform galamsey or to look for gold or to look for minerals illegally. So in terms of predicting, AI can help us because there's images. If you want to take images, like want to look at galamsey, it's going to be a vast, like going to be a whole lot of area to monitor, a whole lot of thousands and thousands of images. Human beings, we are not that really wasn't a good as compared wasn't in terms of looking at large number of quantity of data to to make a decision, but AI can help us with all these things, target the high risk areas, and also to recognize pattern much more quicker and easier as compared to us. So we'll definitely need to find a way to incorporate AI in terms of our forensic or drone imagery or satellite imagery technology to combat the issue of illegal mining and galamsey in codes here. So this is just like a video that I just kind of generated for us to just look at more of like people say CSI or effect or whatever. Yes, but this is just how it would help us combat the issue of galamsey if you're able to develop technologies and AI, and incorporate our normal routine modern techniques with AI, artificial intelligence. This is how we can combat the issue of galamsey. So let's just watch these few seconds videos before we continue. So I think I just generated this. Okay, so let's watch it once again. Okay. All right. So they just like more of like a demonstration of how AI can be used to monitor or map large, key large areas. It will give you the latitude, the longitude, note some kind of aberrations of abnormalities, and let you know that okay, you have to go to this area. This area is getting, this area is likely a galamsey area. This water is whatever is affected from here. We can trace it to this particular area and a whole lot of things. It can help you map even like in terms of movements. You can see excavator movements and it can predict okay, the excavator movement is coming from this side, it's moving to this side, and then it's most likely coming from this particular area. So you can trace and even go and identify the excavator, and then you can apply other forensic techniques to know that indeed this excavator was used here illegally to mine gold. Once you get the excavator, that means you can get the owner of the excavator, and then prosecutions or justice can be brought into place. So photography as a storytelling tool, like we all said, it's all about documentations. And then in the court of law, we are looking at common sense. And then the common sense is well understood. If you're able to lay out your case in terms of a story that everybody can relate, everybody can follow. So photography is very good in terms of what helping us tell a story or to make a case. So images that so we need images that will reveal something like scale, impact, and then truth in terms of when we are using photography to tell a story. So good forensic photographs will show you the scale of destruction. You can see the entire scale. You can even give relationship. You can connect one area to one area. You can see the pattern. Community A destroyed, community B destroyed. If you don't take time, community C is going to get destroyed. And then it can show you the scale of destruction and show you progression, like I just mentioned, how the damage is being taking place from time to time. You can even see before and after images. Or you can see something we call like time lapse. Day 1, day 2, day 3, how things are going to see. Can even help us even demonstrate, let's say, environmental impact. Like I said, in terms of animation, if we want to appeal to the emotions of the public or the audience or the masses to help us combat galamsey, so we can start something like we want to tell a story. So first of all, we go in and take pictures of galamsey side from the drone. Then we wait and see how it is damaging the future. Then we can do some form of animation to show that like in 10 years time, how the whole landscape is going to be destroyed if we keep on continuing at this particular pace, and if we don't tackle the issue of galamsey. Then we show what's the name yeah, what's the name? You can even do animated videos within your community as a video producer to show how the mercury is being deposited from the galamsey side into our water body, and how the mercury consumption is getting into our what's the name, our water sea animals like the fish and the rest, and how even we ourselves, once we consume the mercury directly, we take it as a primary consumer directly from the water body, and also when we eat these fishes and the sea animals, how this mercury deposits is depositing in our system, in a long time, how this is going to affect our human organs, especially our kidneys and things, and how was the name when accumulated mercury in our body can lead to maybe kidney loss and organ loss and all those things, and how it's going to affect us and affect the family. For example, let's say you are the breadwinner of the family because of taking mercury was in contaminated water, you lose your organs and then you die, and then how that is going to impact children, like more of like a documentary, like how that is going to affect your family. Now your family that what's the name, your children, your wife, and other spouses are relying on you. Now they don't have somebody to rely on, and then how that can lead to a social vice. Those children will now get into the streets. Some of them will have to now go and turn into maybe drilling tramadol, peddling drugs, or even involved in armed robbery. So we can use photography to show a story, like both visual and motion pictures and then images to tell the scale of the distraction, the grand scheme of Galamsey impact within the community, and then people can now relate better to it. People, when you are there and then you are just walking the street and then you see people peddling drugs, and then it will appeal to your emotions to want to probably take active measures to help curb the issue of galamsey and then to find other measures to solve. So we can use photography to tell a story in various medias right from the beginning, from the impact of the land destruction to how it destroyed everything in terms of future generation. We can do that, and then we can tell a good story with forensic photography from a social perspective. I want us to know that like images transform complex environmental crimes into visible evidence. I'm saying it again, the images that we are going to take in terms of forensic photography is going to transform complex environmental crimes like the galamsey into visible evidence that can be used to get active measures from the government to solve the issue, also to appeal to the community to avoid engaging in this kind of mining, to disengage from it. Because sometimes you may know one or two people involved in it making quick money, but if you see that maybe you can appeal to their senses, their emotions, to look for other forms of livelihoods instead of going for the illegal mine or the galamsey. I know my time is up, so I'll quickly just rush and conclude. So these are just some recommendations for the stakeholders and then the government. Maybe we may have to look in, if we want to tackle the issues of galamsey using forensic photography or forensic science in general, we need to invest more funds or money is needed. We need to integrate technology. Like I said, if you need to have access to satellite imagery, the drones imagery, you need to invest money into it. Yeah, and then I feel the money investment that we are going to do is worth it. Looking at the high impact of galamsey within our community. Now we need to train investigators or experts to know how to investigate galamsey through overt and covert operations, how to tackle it, and we need to use this imagery that we are getting from the feeds, the galamsey, the overview, the satellite imagery, and then the rest, and also the documentary we are going to do that is using photography to tell a story. We have to use those imagery be able to inform or push policies making that would help combat the issue of galamsey in Ghana as a whole. These are some recommendations that I think would help with galamsey. And then the conclusion. So I want us to note that illegal mining destroys landscapes quietly. That is true. Forensic photography ensures the damage is documented, understood, and then brought before justice. So forensic photography will ensure that the damage is documented, understood, because sometimes you can see a lot of people, they just see the galamsey image, but they don't really understand the context, what it means. So forensic photography will give context, let us understand it, and then more importantly, it will help the cases to be brought before justice. That is the conclusion that I have here. And then lastly, in the fight against illegal mining, the camera can become the most powerful investigative tool. So let's note this as a concluding remarks. Right, so this is the end of my presentation. I think I'm right almost on time. Thank you for listening to me, and then we can move to the questions and discussion sessions if there's any for me.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Munta, for such a deep and well-rounded presentation. So the floor is opened. If you have a question or you have something you want to ask, we have about 5 minutes. You can ask, and before we proceed to the other speakers, because we have two more speakers to go. Okay, so at the comment section, I think someone has a question. Will forensic photography be part of an exhibit to support a case admissibility in court, just like scene reconstruction? Having said that, it is based on sentiments to just take good photographs, or there is an actual standard to take photographs to justify a court case slash tell a story in court. Mr. Munta, can you check the comment section? I think someone has a question there.
Okay, all right. So I think I'm getting the person question. The person is just asking
Okay.
whether in terms of taking forensic photography to combat crime of environmental crime like illegal mining, is there a standard protocol that we would have to adhere to, like in normal photography, forensic photography, or it's more of like just appealing to societal sentiments so that we can solve the issue of galamsey. So in this particular case, it is both. It is both. The goal here, what is the goal or the aim here? The aim here is to eradicate the problem, to stop the problem. So in stopping the problem, we have to what try to deter people from engaging in the act, and by deterring the people, then we need to get good evidence to use to prosecute them at the court of law. Because once we're able to prosecute the big people, the kingpins, the cartel bosses, then it is easier to what's the name, for people to understand that, oh, if they are prosecuting my boss, then what about me? Then they can now pull out of the game. Because if you know in crime theory, people who engage in crime, if they feel that like there's high reward and there's low risk, so we have to turn the skills. There's very high risk. If you do, we can catch you and then we can prosecute you for up to life imprisonment. The other part is also we need to also appeal to the sentiment in one way or the other, because galamsey has now become like, if you look at other issues or other places like I mentioned in Mexico, where drugs has now become like uh, it has now become part of the society. People are even fighting and supporting people who are peddling drugs. People are protecting drug lords. I think last month or so, when a drug kingpin was being killed, you can see people were protesting. His people came out to put blockades, kill people, and people were hyping and praising them because they feel like these things are norms. Like we feel like it is okay to peddle drugs. That is how galamsey is becoming in our society here. People are now feeling like it's now okay to do galamsey. If you find yourself in a galamsey community, those who don't engage in galamsey are seen like to be what's the name not like they say your eye not open, like let's say now look at them like they see not to be somebody who is reasonable or somebody who really cares about their future or their life. People push you to go into it, even if you don't want to go into it. Like they'll feel like you also have to go, your colleagues are doing and they're bringing money at home, why don't you also go and do it? So galamsey it's getting quite normalized, it's getting quite rationalized. So we also need to put a stop or a barrier to the rationalization and acceptance of galamsey within our community. That is why we also have to appeal to the sentiment and in the social aspect to avoid the galamsey. In terms of standards, yes, the standard for documenting environmental crime like galamsey would be applicable to just like any normal crime scene. You have to make sure that the image that you are taking is objective. It should not distort the fact. It has to be objective. It also has to what something that it's not. It shouldn't appeal to the emotion of the judges. You can appeal to emotion like that. There are two methods in the court of the law. You don't have to appeal to emotion. It has to be you don't go in and pick a galamsey picture and then you try to distort the fact by appealing to emotions to the court of law. But when it on the outside, whereby you are not prosecuted, you can appeal to emotions. But in the court of law, your image should not appeal to emotions. And then the I think the cardinal rules are three. That is it should be objective, it should not appeal to emotions, and then the last one, unfortunately, it's not coming. I'm not recollecting. But it's more about what's the name, the standards. Like it should be what's the name. Okay, I think yeah, it's distortion. It should not be distorted. It should not appeal to emotions, and then it should be objective story. Yeah, those are the three cardinal rules, if I remember, about taking photography. So your photography that you are documenting for prosecution in terms of galamsey should also follow these three rules of documentations. And also, fortunately for you, if you are going to be documenting an area from an overview, most of these drones are calibrated. They can help you, and they have the inbuilt digital skills and things. You don't have to go in and put. How do you want to go in and put a scale on a galamsey side, a vast galamsey side that is less than hundreds of kilometers to capture the images? So you can do the mapping and all those things with your coordinates and things online to be able to tell the extent of things. But if you find yourself going to the scene and then you want to document something like maybe bottles and then minor things like fingerprints on excavators, maybe bottles you think that contains uh, mercury and things that are used for galamsey, you would have to put scale and things on the floor to do your ground photography and then things. So it's both ways in this area. I think it's both ways if you want to tackle the issue. The court aspect separately, it has to be objectives. But when it comes to the social aspect too, you have to put objectivity aside and then appeal to emotions to solve the issue. Yeah.
Please, there's a second question
All
in
right.
the chat.
So I should check the chat, right? Let me see.
Okay.
Or you
So
would
let
like
me
to read
read.
it for me? Okay.
How do you think we could get people to have the idea of eradication I agree that the Galamsey issue is just like illegal drug trafficking. So, what do you suggest with a viewpoint as seen in combating illicit drugs in cartel?
Okay, so from this, we'll need to bring in our economics and then our social, wasn't a policy guys in. Yeah, but from little I know, like I said, Galam say a lot of people involved in it because of unemployment. They don't have any form of jobs. So maybe the government has to create more job opportunities as one to push people over there. And then the other one too is also like to also give compensations for let's say for other things that would people will find it much more doable. For example, if somebody is willing to destroy their cocoa farms for illegal mining because the person is losing trust in these cocoa sales. Maybe the person feels like he's not getting what they deserve from the cocoa. So maybe there can be more was any motivations. Like you're a cocoa farmer, these are the benefits that you get. Your children will get this and these other benefits. Your children will get free education. I'm just like example. Also, we are also going to increase the amount of cocoa price and all those things so that you don't have to destroy cocoa farms to get into this. And then we also need to also be what's the name active like in terms of tackling the issue like the anti-galamsey guys need to be really be active. They shouldn't just go in and camp themselves. They should really get to the field, meet the guys two to two and then fight and then chase them out of the area. And then once you chase people out of the area too, you don't have to leave the area. Once they are gone, you have to put in something like camps and things to stay there to monitor the area, find ways and means to rehabilitate the land and then all those areas. So this is going to be more of like an economic and social perspective, which in this particular was a meeting, it's way out of or a little bit out of my scope. But yeah, I think unemployment would solving the issue of unemployment would drastically help the issue of galamsey. So there's one more question, right?
Oh,
So I'll take that then we
no, I think that's all for now.
that's all for
So,
now. Okay.
yeah. So, thank you so much, Mr. Munta, for such a wonderful presentation. Hey, a question just dropped regarding the question raised by Lucy. Is the use of AI in photography probable in enhancing image ethical rights?
Okay, so like I said, in terms of the enhancement of images,
And please make it snappy so the
okay,
next
yes.
person
In
will
terms of
not
enhancement
forget.
of images, no, we if it is before the image is being captured, being completed, like during production, like at the time of taking the images, that is pre-production. We use something we call computational photography. That one it enhances the images, but it doesn't distort the fact. It only makes things much more obvious for you, but it doesn't distort the fact, and it is acceptable for what's the name litigation purposes. If you are looking at the other aspect whereby you want to use AI to tackle the issue of let's say what's the name like a wild landscape, that one it will help you pinpoint the area. So that one is more of like providing investigative leads. You go in and check and see. Sometimes AI is not that perfect. You may go in and it is wrong. It is a wrong prediction, but there's nothing to lose if it's a wrong prediction. But if it is a right prediction, then you have everything to gain in terms of that aspect. So yes, you can use AI ethically, and it is acceptable to tackle the issue of illegal mining from a computational point of view, and also from an aerial predictive method or pattern analysis point of view, and then you wouldn't have any issue. I hope I
Okay.
answered your question here.
Yeah. I hope everyone is okay and clear now. So without much of time wasting, I would like to introduce the next speaker. Mr. Munta, thank you once again.